Bringing you the big picture, KOAM News Now.
Right now at 5, the city of Joplin hosts a public meeting to discuss widening 20th Street. Plus, we've got ourselves another foggy start out there. We're going to talk about those dense fog advisories and take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up. Plus, how a new program in Joplin could help people filing their taxes.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5 o'clock and 30 some odd seconds. I'm Chris Warner. Thanks for sticking around with us. I'm sure you folks at home probably feel the exact same way I do. We were just talking about this has been the longest week ever. I feel like all the ice from Monday was like 2 weeks ago. And it was only a few days ago. But thankfully, our weather continues to improve sans the fog, which doesn't seem to want to let go of the area. This is a quick look at our camera on top of the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. You can see some of that fog out there. And in some locations, it is relatively dense. MoDOT cameras around the metro, again, showing some of that fog, at least in Joplin right now. Not overly dense, but don't let your guard down because, A, you're going to run into spots. I was on 249. Heading north toward Webb City, and it was kind of foggy, and then all of a sudden, it was zero visibility. Like, I went over a little hill on the highway, couldn't see anything. Clouds across the area, no precipitation out there, but if we look out to the west, here comes our next round of rain, and this will be here later tonight and into our Saturday. And I know we've talked about snow for Saturday, but there's some good news on that front. We'll get to all that in the full forecast a little later. As for right now, though, visibilities are reduced, and you can see this little shape, this little L shape here, backwards L, a 7, whatever you want to call that, where visibilities are at about a mile or less, and we're expecting dense fog across a good portion of the area. And that's why, once again, dense fog advisories, Missouri and Kansas, and these run until, once again, noon today. In Joplin right now, it is 39, and there's some of that fog. Looking all right so far from the KDOT camera south of Pittsburgh, sitting at 37. Kids get on the bus, obviously some fog to contend with, otherwise upper 30s out there with a calm breeze. That bus brings them home from the longest week. This is probably the first long week they've actually had in school at this point as well. Low 40s, northeast breeze 5 to 10 miles an hour with those cloudy skies. We will be cloudy today. The fog should be moving out of here by about noon. Excuse me, that's not to say we couldn't still see some patchy fog here and there, but most of it should be gone. We're looking at highs today into the mid to upper 40s across the area. Again, we have rain coming in tonight, and we'll talk about what we're expecting on Saturday and those much warmer temperatures in your full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Well, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment has issued a boil advisory in the city of Coffeyville and the rural water districts of Labette and Montgomery counties. The advisory takes effect today until the issue can be resolved. High levels of turbidity have been detected, which could lead to bacterial contamination. Now remember, if you're in a boil advisory, you need to boil water for 1 minute before drinking it or using it to prepare food. Do not use ice from an automatic ice maker. Flush your water if it appears to be dirty. Disinfect dishes and any other food contact surfaces in clean tap water with 1 teaspoon of unscented household bleach per 1 gallon of water. And need to supervise children during bath time. Make sure that they do not drink any of that water. And authorities in Cedar County say the human remains discovered in a brush pile last week are that of a Joplin woman. The Cedar County Sheriff says the remains were identified as 27-year-old Shania Haynes. Her body was found last week in a brush pile. A full autopsy will be used to determine the cause of death. 3 men are arrested and charged in this case. Bradley Keith of El Dorado Springs, Brandon Choate of Lamar, and Jimmy Cole of Stockton are all charged with tampering with physical evidence and abandonment of a corpse. The Kansas Highway Patrol is investigating a wreck involving a Columbus school bus and a truck in Cherokee County. Happened near the intersection of Highway 400 and Highway 7. According to a spokesperson for the school, the bus did have students on board. Authorities say there were some injuries reported, but none are life-threatening. The city of Galena is clarifying when its school crossing lights are supposed to run. Officials say they've received complaints about the lights running at odd hours. However, that's not a malfunction. Galena Mayor Ashley Qualls Groves says they are set automatically and will also run during after-school programs throughout the year.
But the school hosts after-school programs that goes roughly till 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. They have a lot of kids that stay for that. So we bus and we transport, and then parents come and pick up. And the school, in conjunction with the city, came up with the idea to also incorporate that time, because we have kids that walk, or, again, lots of kids that are transported various ways. So that time every evening, Monday through Friday, is still considered part of it.
The school crossing light in question is located on 7th Street. The city of Joplin yesterday held a public meeting to discuss a project to widen West 20th Street. There's a chance for residents in that area to give their input on the project and how they would like to see it designed. Officials say the project is needed for the community.
If you live here on this road, we will provide access the whole time through the project. So no one's going to be trapped, but it will be inconvenient. For instance, the intersections. We have 2 roundabout intersections designed, and those to put those in, basically you have to close the whole intersection.
The project is paid for by a sales tax approved by voters in 2014. Groundbreaking on the project is scheduled for early next year. We've got a scheduling update for all of our programming tonight. Due to golf, there will not be KOAM News on air at 5 or 6 p.m. tonight. However, we will bring you a look at the latest headlines and forecasts on the free KOAM Plus app or on the KOAM website at 6. And then at 6:30, you can watch the Oklahoma City Thunder take on the New Orleans Pelicans right here on KOAM. And you can join us after the game for the KOAM News at 10. Well, Popular Tax Service is open this year in Joplin. The Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, also known as VITA, provides free tax services for some taxpayers. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more.
People across the 4 states are getting ready for tax season, but getting help with your taxes can quickly add up.
I'm on a fixed income and got hurt on the job, and I don't have much to pay out to do my taxes, just to get, what little I got, get back.
The VITA program offers free tax services to anyone making less than $65,000 a year.
So low to moderate income taxpayers. We service any age. We'll provide service for any age. And it's a totally free service, and we're very popular in this area.
The Joplin site at the Great Plains Federal Credit Union is open weekdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for walk-ins needing help.
We are very lucky here at Joplin that most of our volunteers are retired CPAs or previously working tax preparers. So we have a wealth of tax knowledge here available at our site.
Russ Line-Miller has been using VITA to get help with his filings for more than 20 years.
My past CPAs was charging me, $100 and a quarter, $100 and a half to do my taxes, and here I just get it done for nothing. I go to the grocery store and bring, snacks and stuff back to them.
And he says he recommends this program to others who may not know about it.
I love them. I really care a whole lot for them, doing my taxes.
In Joplin, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Now, more VITA locations are set to open across the 4 states in the coming weeks. You can learn more on our website, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. And that is a check of our top stories and weather here in the first 7 minutes of the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, we have the first edition of Thunder Thursday. We'll tell you what you need to know about that. Plus, Colombia's government declaring a disaster Thursday as the country battles wildfires outside the capital. And that fog, man, just does not want to let go. We'll have another check of your forecast when we come back.
Speech Clinic has been serving the 4-state area for over 32 years. Doctors Hanny and John.
For more information and to watch a travel show, or call 888-557-1020 for a free brochure.
We now welcome you into the first edition of Thunder Thursday here on KOAM, highlighting the past week for Oklahoma City and it's been a busy week since we took a visit to the KOAM Center on Tuesday. The Thunder have moved into a tie for first place in the Western Conference. They've won 4 in a row. Most recently, a 26-point win over the Spurs and rookie sensation Victor Wembanyama. No surprise here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leads the team with a double-double, 32 points and 10 assists. He was also the leading scorer with 33 the night before in a 2-point win over Portland. Remember, the Trailblazers announced that they're protesting that result. The league office has 3 days left to make a ruling. And again, your first chance to watch the Thunder on our airwaves is this evening. We begin our coverage with the pregame show at 6:30. Then the Thunder take on the Pelicans in New Orleans at 7, trying to remain in first place. Well, not very often as a high school athlete do you get the opportunity to play your sport in front of the entire school. Yesterday afternoon at McCallie Catholic, those on the Warriors varsity basketball teams played in front of the entire student body from 3 different Joplin area Catholic schools. McCallie Catholic at home yesterday for an afternoon game against the New Covenant Warriors. Early in the game, Bradley Wagner is going to get the easy bucket with the left hand for 2 points. Though later in the first, Alex Bohoshik makes a nice cut in the lane and scores it off the glass. McCallie on a big offensive run to start this game. We're still in the first. Connor Taffner kicks out to Michael Paragon, who's is open in the corner. 3-point shot is good. McCallie opens up this game on a 16-0 run. Over to the second half, Warriors are up by 23. Michael Paragon, the nice spin move in the lane and finishes the bucket. Next possession, Paragon gets fouled, and you can count the bucket. Then just after that, it's another fast break, and Paragon finishes another layup. He had 19 points for McCallie in this game. McCallie dominates in front of its home crowd. The Warriors win 51-29.
The guys have been talking about it for a month now. This is the first time that we've done something like this, and I think it's great for our school to see the kids that are coming up through our school system to be in this type of, to help with the atmosphere and be part of the atmosphere and eventually be playing in that type of atmosphere. I think it's just great all around.
Just after the boys' game, McCallie Catholic girls hit the floor taking on New Covenant. In the first quarter, Brooke Ryder is going to get the steal and goes for the layup. The basket is good, plus the foul. Later in the first, Vanessa Diaz knocks down the 3-point shot off the inbounds play. Lady Warriors lead by 12. Still in the first half, the only senior on the team, Chloe Williamson, takes over this game as she gets the bucket to go here. Then on a fast break, she shows off a spin move to get another 2 points. Williamson went on to have a career day as she scored a game-high 42 points. Going to the second half, McCallie is in full control. Isabella Gilligan hits the 3-pointer to put the game on ice. McCallie goes on to get the win, 67-36. Meanwhile, last night in Southeast Kansas, Frontenac and Fort Scott meet for a duel on the wrestling mat. Frontenac Wrestling hosting Fort Scott in the Cannonball Clash last night. We're going to start at 120 pounds. Frontenac's Zane Aiken wins by fall over Gavin Griffiths after a 5-minute bout. Then at 126 pounds, Jamaro Pero doing all he can to stop Fort Scott's Gavin Miles, but it's not enough. He wins in the second period by fall. Up at 144 pounds, Ethan Jones for Frontenac gets the takedown and the pin on Landon McDaniel. Then at 165 pounds, Fort Scott's Brody Gomez wasted no time at all. Within 30 seconds, he wins by fall against Drew Long. And then at 175 pounds, Lennox Van with the takedown for Fort Scott. He'd go on to win by decision. And the Tigers win this duel 42-36. They take down Frontenac and bring home the Cannonball Clash trophy. Well, still to come, why scientists say they are one step closer to cross-species organ transplants. We'll have those details. Plus, got another check of that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
News Now is looking for organizations that regularly
It's easy to stay safe online. Learn more at CISA.gov/secure our world.
And welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:19 on this finally Friday in the 4 states. And I wish I could say we're finally done with the fog, but we're not yet. Now, it's not overly dense in the Joplin metro area right now, as you can see on our camera in the Cornell complex and on the MoDOT cameras, but you can still see that there is fog out there, and it is relatively dense in some locations. And the KDOT camera that's just south of Pittsburgh on 69, again, it looks okay, but you can still see there is some fog out there. And the fog tracker showing denser fog right along 54 and then swinging back to the western edge of southeast Kansas in our area, where visibilities are a little more greatly reduced than they are in other locations, but this fog is still going to be dense in other locations, and there's patchy dense fog. So while Joplin itself may have relatively decent visibility, you can go just a little outside the city and run into some pretty thick fog, and that's why we have dense fog advisories once again, Missouri and Kansas until noon today. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear in our area, but off to our west, here comes our next round of rain and precipitation that this will eventually travel the I-44 corridor, join up with 44, and make its way into our area later tonight. Our camera 7th and range line gives you a slightly better view of that fog because it's a little higher off the ground. It's 39 in Joplin. Visibility is about 5 miles. Feels like 35 with an east-northeast breeze at 6. Temperatures around the region are a little cooler than where we've been here lately. We've got a few more low to mid 30s out there, but as you head further south, we do have some upper 30s, getting close to 40. And like we've seen the last few days, not a lot of temperature movement out there, but we are looking to get once again upper 40s near 50. There could be a stray shower too early, but we are looking at better rain chances once we go late tonight into tomorrow. Now you still see on the future tracks some snow, maybe a wintry mix out there. We still are looking at that possibility, and some of that snow could be a heavy wet snow at times, but we're still not anticipating any major accumulations, and we're not anticipating any significant travel impacts. Those slick spots will definitely be possible until this activity rolls out of here by Saturday afternoon. For the rest of our morning, we're going to have to deal with patchy fog out there, some of it dense in locations, and that's one troubling thing, though, about this fog is it's dense in areas. It's like I told you this morning. I'm on 249. There's some fog, not too bad, and I'm not kidding you. I go over a slight hill, and the next thing I know, there's zero visibility for about 3 miles. So you've got to watch out. It's going to sneak up on you. Low 40s by late morning. Temperatures eventually make it in the mid, maybe even upper 40s today, as we're looking at highs right around there with those cloudy skies. Fog will clear out. Could still be some patchy fog here and there, but most of it will be gone. Through the low 40s through the evening, rain moves in and will eventually make it down into the mid-30s tonight, so another cool one. Low 40s for us tomorrow, and we'll see some of those morning showers and mostly cloudy skies. But the good news is, as we start warming up, look at this. It is almost like spring out there as we head into next week. Sunny skies, temperatures upper 50s and lower 60s, and it's going to be relatively decent. We get some additional rain chances, which don't impact our temperatures significantly toward the end of next week. Let's check your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Are you or a family member in need of care in the home or client? We look forward to getting to know you. Reach out today.
Topping Health Watch this morning, scientists say they are one step closer to cross-species organ transplants. More than 100,000 people in the U.S. are waiting for a transplant, but there's a shortage of organs available. Scientists have been experimenting with alternatives, and they might have found one. Doctors at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, transplanted genetically modified pig kidneys into 3 people who were brain dead. They then gave them FDA-approved drugs to help suppress the immune system so the body doesn't reject the unfamiliar organ. And it appeared to work. New research is limited, but it shows advancement in the much-needed field. Severe migraine headaches can be challenging for people who suffer from them. Now, a new study finds migraines can now be predicted by 2 things. Wednesday, the journal Neurology published data that indicated changes in sleep quality and energy on the prior day were related to a headache the next day. Data shows that those who did not sleep well and had low energy one day were more likely to have migraines the next morning. Chronic migraines are the leading cause of disability in people younger than 50, according to a February 2018 study. Thanks to awareness and some manufacturer safety measures put into place, fewer children appear to be ingesting those pods filled with laundry detergent, according to a recent study. While there have been declines in exposures to the dangerous liquid inside those pods, the research shows it's still a significant problem in the U.S. Mandy Gaither has more on what the study's lead author says parents and caretakers should know to keep their loved ones safe.
It's not a new danger. For years, there have been warnings about the risk of exposure or ingestion of the liquid inside laundry detergent pods, and new research shows they still pose a problem.
What we found was that despite all of these public health and industry efforts, we're still seeing many people of all ages being exposed to these laundry detergent packets.
Dr. Christopher Gaw with Nationwide Children's is senior author of a study that researched detergent pod-related calls into U.S. poison control centers between January 2014 and December 2022. While researchers say there have been declines in the number, rate, and severity of exposures among children younger than 6, the most recent 3 years of the study found more than 36,000 calls related to these exposures.
Usually ends up in their mouths, and oftentimes if they bite down on it or it dissolves, that's how the detergent gets released.
Researchers also found increases in exposures among older children, noting dangerous social media challenges, and among older adults with cognitive impairments like Alzheimer's, who may have mistaken the pods for food. To keep those who are most vulnerable safe from accidental exposure or ingestion, Gaw says to store detergents out of reach of little hands and in their original containers.
I think also there's opportunity from an industry and policy perspective to really strengthen and shore up these product safety standards.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Now, if you suspect an exposure or ingestion of laundry detergent pods, you can call the Poison Control Center hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 800-222-1222. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, and we got another foggy start out there across the area, and it doesn't look too bad in Joplin right now, but watch out for that patchy, dense fog. We'll have another look at your forecast when we come back.
Fresh head lettuce, $1.49. Beef arm roast, $4.99 a pound. Thank you for supporting Ron's Supermarket.
Right now at 5:30, Freeman Health System hosts an event aimed at improving the health of its thousands of employees. Plus, we've got ourselves another foggy start out there. The good news is it'll eventually go away. We'll talk about that forecast, get you out the door coming up. Plus, a historic Southeast Kansas business is officially back open. We'll hear from the new owners.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:31. It is about 10 seconds away from 5:32. I am Chris Warner. It is a finally Friday in the 4 states. Unfortunately, it's still also a foggy Friday in the 4 states. That just does not seem to want to let go out there. Now, right now, it's our camera on the Cornell Complex. It doesn't look too terrible in Joplin, but you don't have to go too far to run into dense fog. And that's the issue with this morning's fog, is you're going to have areas like this. Visibility is reduced, but it's manageable. You can still see well enough ahead of you that you're doing all right. And then you'll suddenly run into areas of zero visibility. So you've got to still slow down. You got to watch out and don't get caught off guard by those sudden increases in thick fog. If you see it ahead of you, start slowing down. MoDOT cameras around the metro area also showing some patchy fog. Clouds on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. We have to head out into the south and west where there's snow in the Rockies and south of Denver. There is rain into the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. And all of this is going to roll up the I-40 corridor, join I-44, and come right into our area later tonight into tomorrow, bringing us some rain and potentially some light snow. But good news is we're not anticipating anything significant out of this snow, but slick spots will be possible as we head into our Saturday, so do be careful. Fog tracker, we've got some reduced visibilities, the most dense fog at this point being reported out in our far western counties. However, as I mentioned this morning, you'll run into patchy dense fog here and there, so just watch out for that, and that's why we do have dense fog advisories for Missouri and for Kansas, and they once again will run until noon today. We are sitting at 39 in Joplin, 38 in Pittsburgh, and we've got some patchy fog, both locations, and some drizzle out there as well. So kids get on the bus, fog, maybe some light drizzle, upper 30s with a calm breeze. That bus brings them home later today. We're talking low 40s, northeast breeze at about 5 to 10. Still cloudy, but most of the fog should be gone. Some patchy fog may still be possible later today, but it won't be quite like it has been the last few days. Cloudy skies otherwise. We're looking at temperatures getting into the mid to upper 40s today, and then we'll start to see some rain chances tonight into our Saturday. We'll talk about all of that in the complete forecast here in just a few more minutes. Well, Freeman Health System President and CEO Paula Baker is retiring. Baker has served in the role for 13 years. Before that, she was the CEO of Freeman's Ozark Center and helped with the creation of the Bill and Virginia Leffen Center for Autism. She won't officially retire until next year. In that time, Freeman will search for her replacement. A Freeman Health System yesterday hosted a fitness fair for employees. 25 vendors stopped by Freeman Hospital West to help employees learn about health benefits and fitness services. Officials say it's important that they focus not only on the health and well-being of patients, but also the people that keep those facilities running.
The best health and wellness resources in the area. A lot of people are really motivated at the first of the year. And the other reason is because they're so important to us, to the health system, and patient caregivers often don't take care of themselves. So we want them to come out, see some things they can do to make sure they're in their best shape for themselves.
The health system has more than 4,500 employees. And some kids in McDonald County yesterday got to speak with a published author. It's part of Anderson Elementary School's One Book, One School reading program. This year, students read Mindful Mr. Sloth by best-selling author Katie Hudson. Yesterday, they got to meet Hudson virtually from her home in London.
In the past, we've had some that just we knew we were going to do that one. We really try to think of books that kindergarten through 5th grade would enjoy. This year, though, we were looking for that kind of specific lesson to share with our students.
The students were able to submit questions for Hudson ahead of time that she answered. And Pittsburgh hosted an event to connect local professionals. Pittsburgh Area Young Professionals Kickoff was an opportunity for people to network, make friends, and meet the organization's board members. The gathering also discussed the group's plans for the year.
It's a good outlet. I think there's a lot of professionals, whether young or older, that just kind of go to work from 8 to 5 and go home, and that's kind of it for their day. This is a good opportunity for you to kind of get out of your shell, meet new people, see what they do for a living, and maybe have same interests.
I wanted an outlet to volunteer through, but I was also excited to meet people around my age that are in the professional world and just get that network built.
Pittsburgh Area Young Professionals is open to people between the ages of 21 and 55. Currently, the organization has about 100 members. PAYP's next event is the Lunch and Learn next Tuesday to discuss the Special Olympics in Kansas. And Corona, Kansas has brought one of its most memory-filled buildings back to life. The Gay Purita, which originally opened back in 1934, has recently been remodeled and restored to its former glory. Current owner John Parsons told us about how he remembers hearing stories as a little boy about how the Purita would be filled with hundreds of people every night.
It's been unbelievable, the people that's called and asked about it and talked about it and sent us stuff. And it was all because of coal mining. You know, that's the only reason the little town was here. That's my grandmother, she taught at the school here in the 20s, and my children are the 7th generation within just a couple miles.
The Purita will be open to the public today. Those interested will be able to purchase food and listen to a live band. Plans for the country's tallest building are in the works. The boardwalk at Bricktown Tower is expected to be built in Oklahoma City. The structure is designed with 3 towers reaching more than 300 feet in the air, while the 4th is planned to take on the massive feat of becoming the nation's tallest building at 1,907 feet tall. The project is currently awaiting approval. I was just looking at that is an impressive feat for Oklahoma City. And that is a look at our top stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, 8 people that were kidnapped by gangs in Haiti have been released. Plus, Israel says it's working to create an informal buffer zone. We'll have the latest on that. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Proud partner of Travis Kelce and his foundation, 87 and running.
Topping World Watch, Colombia's government declaring a disaster Thursday as the country battles wildfires outside the capital, Bogota. Officials raising the number of fires from 25 to 31, determining that only 9 of them are under control. Government is asking for international help to combat the raging wildfires. Some countries have responded so far, the U.S. being one of them. The country has deployed over 600 soldiers as well as other resources to combat the fires. 8 people kidnapped by gangs in Haiti have been released. 6 of the 8 let go are nuns from the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Anne. 2 nuns visited a clinic for treatment of injuries, and religious leaders say everyone is in good condition. The detained group was held by gangs for 5 days. The 8 were abducted on January 19th while traveling aboard a bus. An archbishop did not say if a ransom was paid for their release. And as the fighting in central Gaza intensifies, Israel says it is working to create an informal buffer zone about a half-mile wide along the border. Correspondent Alex Hogan has more from Tel Aviv.
Heavy fighting is still being reported in Khan Yunis, Gaza's second biggest city, with Israel now denying that its forces were involved in a strike on a UN center that killed at least 13 people. The IDF has been fighting block by block battles trying to clear the city, but it hasn't been easy. And now a new tactic is being floated. The Israeli government reportedly considering a temporary buffer zone along the Gaza border to prevent militants from attacking Israeli towns and cities. Officials here say regardless of whether the zone is established, the goal remains the same.
Israel will not give up on the destruction of Hamas, the return of all the hostages, and there will be no security threat from Gaza towards Israel.
The fighting comes as diplomatic efforts remain stalled, and a new rift is emerging with Qatar protesting leaked remarks by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu criticizing the Qatari government for its close relationship reportedly with Hamas.
I don't thank Qatar. Why? Because in my view, Qatar is no different in essence from the United Nations.
That's a problem because Qatar has been a key mediator since the start of the war, communicating with both sides in an effort to help free the hostages. But the State Department says those efforts will continue.
We continue to work closely with partners in the Israeli government to do what we can and to help assist in that effort.
And CIA Director Bill Burns is expected to meet with officials from Israel, Egypt, and Qatar in the coming days for talks on a new hostage deal.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Cosplay, comics, esports. Archon February 3rd in Neo Show. Special guest actor Isaac Singleton and the creators of your favorite comics. Tickets on sale now at Neo.
Story of 2 orphan boys from Berlin who came to Joplin to escape the Holocaust. Newsmakers Saturday at 5:30 a.m. on KOAM.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:45 on this Friday morning here in the 4 states, and we are just a few seconds away from 5:46. Another foggy start to the day. I'm telling you, the last several days, we could have just copied and pasted the newscasts from the morning, the weather stuff, because it's been the same. Now, Cornell camera, as you can see, fog not too terribly dense in Joplin. Looking at MoDOT cameras around the area, there are reduced visibilities, clearly, but not that significant. However, we're going to see some dense fog continue through the area, and we'll talk about that too. All right, KDOT camera south of Pittsburgh also looking good, but some patchy fog out there. And the other issue is Pittsburgh, Joplin reporting 5 miles of visibility, but you'll still run into stretches here and there where you're going to run into sudden drops in visibility, in some cases significant drops. So you've got to slow down, watch out. Remember, use your low beams, not your high beams. And don't forget, we put together some legal information regarding headlights in the fog. It's on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. We compiled it from Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. in case you're wondering what the legalities are with headlights, fog, and all that. All right, dense fog advisories yet again, Kansas and Missouri until noon today. Skywatch Storm Tracker, other than clouds, fog in our area, nothing here yet, but this is our next system out here, and it has got rain in the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma, and that will eventually make its way our way as we head later this evening and into the overnight hours. We're sitting at 39 in Joplin, feels like 36, northeast breeze at 5, and you can see what we're saying. There's still fog out there. It's just at least within the city, it's not terribly dense at this point, but that could rapidly change as we go through the morning. Temperatures a little cooler. We're seeing a lot more low to mid 30s out there, but the further south you go, it gets a little warmer. We've got some mid upper 30s. We go through today. Fog will burn off for the most part by about noon, 1 o'clock, but we could still have some patchy fog, patchy drizzle out there. It won't be until later this evening, and we'll see actual big rain start to roll into the area. And yeah, that's still some snow, maybe a wintry mix on the future track early tomorrow and lasting mixed in with that rain through the first half of our Saturday. So again, it could be a heavy wet snow, which could reduce visibilities at times, but we're not anticipating major accumulations, but also, slick spots, very possible on area roadways. So if you're traveling tomorrow, slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going, and watch out for some of those slick spots out there. All right, through the morning, the patchy fog, low 40s, temperatures, there's not a lot of movement through the morning. As we head into the afternoon, we're still looking at highs, maybe mid-upper 40s once again. Cloudy skies, some patchy drizzle, patchy fog here and there. And we head into this evening, temperatures initially just kind of floating around in the low 40s out there. Showers start to roll in, and we will drop into the mid-30s across the area, and that's why some of us could see that transition to some snow out there, and it may stick to grassy surfaces, but that's going to be about the extent of it. The good news is next week. We just have to get through this and the cold weather and some of that light snow tomorrow. Now, Sunday's still a little chilly, only in the upper 40s, but as we head into next week, it is like it's like spring break almost. We're going into the upper 50s, low 60s. We have additional rain chances toward the end of next week, but even with these rain chances, next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, temperatures not getting knocked down that significantly, still mid to upper 50s. So, like I told you before, I'm not saying call in on Monday or any of these days next week. I am simply saying consider working from home, maybe moving your office outdoors. Maybe we can take the entire studio outside. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. But that's what I'd recommend because it's going to be absolutely beautiful as we kick off the next work week. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
You're watching KOAM.
Bestwood floors and farmhouse-worthy countertops. Refined, rustic, or something in between. Let our product selection experts help you find it at the Home Store in downtown Parsons.
One Indiana man has a second chance at life thanks to an organ donor. Turns out his perfect match was right under his nose the entire time. Alex Null explains.
Inside the Reed's home in New Haven, it's clear that family is important.
So our whole life's been here and raised our kids here, and family's still all around us, which is really great.
Paige was born and raised in New Haven, not too far from Mike's hometown of Decatur. The two never left the area, and they say it's something their kids even notice.
We'd go to the grocery store and they were always like, you know everybody in this town, and I would say, yeah, I do. Like, remember that because it comes in handy.
Mike and Paige are very active, love spending time outside, and playing with their 5 grandkids. But in 2021, Mike began losing energy.
Just started slowing down, a little more tired, come home from work, take a little nap on the couch, and that's just not me.
In November of that year, Mike learned he was in stage 4 kidney failure, a diagnosis that rocked them both.
I almost went through like a mourning period for the next month or so and thinking like this is the end.
Mike began dialysis immediately and was put on the wait list for a transplant. During that wait, his body deteriorated.
To mow the yard was a struggle.
A year after his diagnosis, they found a match. That match, the person he had been married to for nearly a decade.
It's still like unreal that it worked, and there hasn't been any kind of complications to speak of.
Dr. Islam Ghonim was Mike's transplant nephrologist at Ascension St. Vincent Hospital. He says most people wait about 4 years for a match, adding the chances of Paige being a near-perfect match was rare. But Mike's case, he says, was special.
Sometimes a match, even an organ match, may be something that's made in heaven. And in this case, it truly was.
In March 2023, the transplant was successful, and Mike went back to doing the things he loves. He and Paige say they feel incredibly blessed and add their story shows how life-saving organ donation can be.
Sometimes people just donate and they don't know. I think for me as the donor, it's been amazing because from day one I can see just the impact it's made on his life.
Certainly an incredible story. And if you're interested in becoming a living donor in your state, you can learn more online. We'll be right back with more after this.
Hi, I'm Wade with Wade's RV, and I wanted to invite you to come see the Wade's RV
football party for only $15. All proceeds go to the animals at Southeast Kansas Humane Society. See you before the big game Sunday, February 11th.
Great Britain and the United States are at a boiling point over tea. A U.S. scientist claims the perfect cup is made with a pinch of added salt. Michelle Frankel says the tiny addition isn't enough to taste, but is needed to reduce the bitterness. But now she's in hot water. Brits are furious that their national drink is being messed with by Americans who prefer the iced variety or even coffee. U.S. Embassy in the UK has distanced themselves from the idea and ensured adding salt to tea is not an official U.S. policy. I am really glad we're settling that one. DiGiorno is giving pizza lovers and sports fans a chance to score a free pizza during this year's Super Bowl game. Here's how it works. During the big game, if a field goal or extra point attempt hits an upright or crossbar, causing that doink, some lucky people will be chosen in a random drawing and will receive a coupon redeemable for a free DiGiorno pizza. Fans can sign up beginning February 1st and up until the day of the game on February 11th. Anyone looking to sign up can visit DiGiornoDoinks.com for their chance to win. This is DiGiorno's second year doing the Doink contest. I like inconvenience here, and I'm all for free pizza, so don't get me wrong. Like, if I sign up and I do this and I win, I'm not going to complain. It's just, unfortunately, you can't win it before the game. And you really need that pizza during the game. But that's okay. It's free pizza one way or the other. Also free today is your forecast. We don't charge for that anytime. And we've got fog to contend with. Dense fog advisories for Missouri and Kansas until noon. Low 40s by late morning. As we head into the afternoon, temperatures mid-upper 40s out there. Cloudy skies, could still see some patchy fog, some patchy drizzle out there, but it shouldn't be quite like what we've seen the last couple of days. And with the cloudy skies, rain starts moving in late this evening into the overnight and will eventually fall back into the mid-30s. So as we head into our Saturday, rain the first half of our Saturday, we could see some brief periods of a heavy wet snow. It shouldn't add up to much on roadways, could accumulate on the grassy surfaces. The biggest thing here is it could just create a few additional slick spots out there. So be careful if you're driving on Saturday. Worry not, though. Anything we see does not last as we head into spring break next week. Temperatures upper 50s, low 60s, and sunny skies as we head into the next work week. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Guarantee today's funeral prices. Pre-arrange at Bath Naylor and Frisco Funeral Homes.
It's the 7-day winter sale at Furniture Row. So